Hello everybody! We are back again with another deck profile. I have here today our Justimon deck. It's a fun deck to play, just if you need kind of something fun to do that's outside of our standard meta, especially for competitive style Digimon. But let's get started. We're going to jump in with our eggs first. We're running some Hopmons, just 4 of them. It's pretty straightforward, focusing on your Tamers. As long as you have a black Tamer in play, this is getting plus 1000 to your Digimon. So it's a pretty simple level 2 baby to run. Throwing Justimon over here for a minute. Starting out with our Sunarizmons. I always say this incorrectly. But essentially getting that, not necessarily for your turn effect, but more so for the inheritable. But the piercing is nice if you do have this on the field outside of building your inheritance with it. You do get that piercing, which is always good as long as you have 13,000 DP or more. So that's always good to have. But the inheritable itself, of course, is if you have a black Digimon that has 13,000 DP or more, you get that security attack +1. That's really what you're kind of going for with this Digimon here for your level 3. We are also running 4 Chikurimons. This is specifically for the security effect, so you do want these to be in your security 99% of the time. If it can, in a perfect world, to get all 4 in there, but if not, you can hopefully get 1, maybe 2, if you're lucky, maybe 3. But essentially getting that ability to de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. So, you know, they have their big body swinging, they hit into this, you can de-digivolve it by 1, which then kind of slows them down and they have to maybe rebuild, or they have to effectively do any sort of counteracting measures to try to survive. Also very good against ace. If you're trying to get turn back and they swing with an ace, or there's an ace floating around, you can actually get that off and de-digivolve it. And then, of course, if that ace is moved, then you get the overflow as needed. Our last level 3s that we're running here, again, looking at that security, is the Dorumons. With this one, of course, you can look at the top of your deck, and if it is a black Digimon with a play cost of 4 or less, you can play it without paying memory cost. This is super useful because this is strictly a black deck. You have that advantage of, so long as it's a play cost of 4 or less, you can get that played out onto your field and get yourself another body on the field without having to pay any cost for it. So that is always awesome. And that takes care of our level 3s. Moving on to some of our level 4s here, we are running 4 Strike Dramons. This helps you search. Again, we're looking for those Tamers, trying to get them onto the field as fast as we can too. But revealing the top 4 cards of your deck and being able to grab a black Tamer card and add it to your hand, putting the remaining at the bottom. So that's very good when you're trying to get any of your black Tamers out. But also the inheritable is really good here, where when attacking, if you have 2 or more black Tamers in play, you can gain 1 memory. Always good to gain memory to keep turn, or effectively maybe even get turn back kind of thing when you're attacking. So it's pretty good. Other level 4 running is Steel's Dramon. This is just your standard blocker, so pretty straightforward. If you're dealing with anything and you need a body on the field, you can get that for blocking and protection. Remember, of course, with this one in particular, is if you do have to attack with it, you will lose 2 memory. So keeping that in mind, this is probably going to be used mostly as your blocker rather than as a attacker. Then we have our Grumblemon. This is our hybrid Digimon. I don't have the Mercurymon, so I would be using Mercurymon here, which would be the better hybrid, but still pretty good as a hybrid. Lets you go on top of a Tamer. Makes it pretty useful for when you're in a pinch. Level 5s, moving on to our Cyber Dramon. Of course, this one allows you to play out that Tamer, your Rio, which is what you want this for, because if you can get that Rio out, that helps a lot in the future, especially when you build on top of this for the inheritable. of course, the inheritable being when attacking, as long as you have 2 or more black Tamers in play, you can de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon with no issues there, which is pretty good. So again, if they do have an ace Digimon on the field as their top Digimon, and you de-digivolve it, you get that overflow. So it is a pretty good card to have as an inheritable. Mamamon is also in our level 5. The on-play /1 digivolving is pretty good too, allowing you to play a Tamer card as long as it's a 4 cost or less. And then placing the rest to the bottom in any order. But more importantly, you're getting this for the inheritable, which allows you to get a blocker as long as you have a Digimon that is played by an effect. The blocker is until your opponent's turn, so like their finished turn. So it is very useful to get you another body that is a strong blocker to protect yourself. And then, of course, we go into our lovely Justimons. Of course, we're running 4 of the Blitz arms, which go kind of hand in hand with the Excel arms, effectively. So when you have your Blitz arm out, you are going to be choosing one of the effects to activate because of 1 Digivolving. So you can either give 2,000 to the Digimon for its turn. You can unsuspend, which we're going to come back to that one in a minute. Or you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon that have a play cost of 5 or less. And then, of course, you have the 1 attacking once per turn. For each Tamer you have in its play, you can activate the Digimon's 1 Digivolving effect. So you can kind of cycle back through for the Tamers that you have in play. With that, of course, you have your Excel arm, and you can Digivolve as long as it contains the name Justimon. So, of course, you have your Justimon in the back with your Blitz arm. Now, this is pretty fun because it allows you to essentially pull a Justimon out of the Digi-Evolution cards, and this will then gain Security Attack +1 and Piercing. And then from there, as long as you have a Tamer in play, it can Digi-Evolve into Justimon again, as long for a Digi-Evolve cost of 2. So you can essentially go from Blitz Arm to Excel Arm, take that out, back to Blitz Arm. And it gets pretty crazy for the back and forth that you can go from there, which is pretty cool. So that's why you want those 2 Justimons there. Moving into our Tamers, you are going to be running 4 Rios. Of course, this is kind of the Tamer you want as much as you can on the field. Not only does the on-play effect trigger, allowing you to search your deck and adding a Dramon or Justimon, which we're obviously looking specifically for the Justimons, to your hand. And then, of course, as long as an attack is going that is of a black Digimon, which in our case is our whole deck, you can suspend the Tamer and give it a boosted 1,000 until the end of your opponent's next turn. So it is a pretty good Tamer to have that really focuses with the Justimon. Then you've got your Kazus. We're running 2 of them. This allows you to essentially gain 1 memory as long as it has Cyborg or Machine in its traits. So helping you with that memory gain and keeping you kind of on your side of the memory versus on your opponent's side. And then, of course, it gives you the ability to draw 1, so long as you have Cyborg or Machine in its traits, and you can suspend the Tamer for that. Then you trash 1 card, so it lets you kind of cycle from your hand to draw 1, trash 1, which is really useful if you're trying to get certain pieces that you need at a time. And then, of course, we have our memory setter, Izzy, which, of course, if you have 2 or less, set it to 3. Also has an on-play effect of allowing you to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. And as long as all 3 are black, you gain an extra memory. And then you can place those at the top of your deck in any order. So this is pretty good because for play cost of 4, you can effectively get it for 3. Considering this deck, everything is a black card. So, and then you can choose how you want things to get put into the top of your deck, which means that you'll know what you're kind of pulling each turn as you go. Then, of course, we are running 4 black memory boosts. Great searchers, great memory gain. Our memory boosts are usually very good for that, so it gives you that sort of advantage. And then the gaining 2 memory when you decide to use the main effect of it on your next turn, always good to have. Then, of course, our newest addition is the defense training. So much like all the trainings that we usually see, it's always revealing the top 2 cards of your deck, except in this case, we're adding black cards instead of a different color, and then placing the rest at the bottom in any order. And then, of course, the delay effect, allowing you to reduce the Digi evolution cost by 2. So having 4 of these is significantly great, especially for a deck like this, where you're kind of trying to build as quick as you can, and you can even get Justimon for a lot less of a Digi evolution cost. And the last option cards that we are running is 2 Kongus. This is a card that's always going to be a pain in the butt for your opponent to sort of deal with, considering it has to deal with any Digimon that are 7 cost or less cannot attack, and cards can't be added to security stacks by opponent effects. So this is a really great counter for a lot of decks that rely more on lower play costs Digimon versus the higher play cost ones. So effectively, they can't really do much for the turn, which is pretty cool. But that is it. So that is pretty much your Justimon deck profile. So hopefully you had some fun. Hopefully you learned something new. But again, this is just like a really fun deck to play when you're looking for a more chill play style versus like a heavy competitive one. It's a pretty fun deck to play. So yeah. But anyhow, we will see you at the next deck profile. See ya!